Have you got my 500 quid?
He's running!
Do you remember?
Okay, wait.
Do you remember when you promised on camera that if I debated you for 10 minutes, you'd give me 500 quid? Have you got that today?
Every human being has I agree. Okay. There's only maybe one human being that I can vouch has never sinned before, and that is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Did Muhammad sin?
No, he didn't sin. I want to
1 second. If he repented for his sins, then this brother has made a choice to accept Islam on a false premise. Because he's saying, notice he doesn't want to listen. Notice he doesn't want to listen. And this is what Islam does to you. This is what Islam does to you.
God bless you, brother. Yes, one of our conversations got hijacked. We're talking about the dawah and the evangelical. But now it's being turned into a totally different discussion. But what we were talking about was like the Ahmadiyya combat kit and the tactics that dawah used to stop.
JC, I don't want to debate Lamin. He owes me 500 quid.
Oh, now we found out he owes money.
Let me switch on.
Have you got my 500 quid?
He's running.
Do you remember?
Okay, wait.
Do you remember when you promised on camera that if I debated you for 10 minutes, you'd give me 500 quid? Have you got that today?
Which video?
Have you got that today? Oh, he doesn't remember. What a surprise. I'll ask his audience.
I had a valid point there, and no one wants to listen to you. It was about
He owes a lot of people.
Well, good to see you here.
I just don't take you seriously, Lamin.
This isn't a serious place. This isn't a serious place. People are just having fun here. I've come here to get serious answers about life.
Let's talk about it. No, I've learned that Lamin is more like a Hollywood theatric.
He just prances in front of the camera.
He doesn't really address any topic. Lamin doesn't give us the audience respected. And what we've tried to do now is try and bring theology back to this, that we actually use some intelligence and intellect in our discussions here. Because not all the audience wants simple brain dead. No, some people want to hear, intellectual discussion. This is Speaker's Corner.
Have you got my 500 quid? 500 pounds. Come on. I want my debate with this man. Lamin, where's my 500? Lamin, where's my 500? Lamin, where's my 500? Lamin,
and they still exist today.
Where is my 500?
This is what I want to know.
Where's my 500?
Hattie is gone.
Anyway,
Bob is here today.
So like I said, a lot of people want to have and hear theological, intellectual discussion. Now, a Muslim brother actually came and he asked questions. And a brother Hudson that was with us was actually trying to address these questions and making sure that the comprehension was valid. But unfortunately, our brother Lamin here is very, very high.
Lamin,
don't get me wrong.
I've got a lot of love for Lamin. I love everyone in the Dawah team. Oh wait, Lamin, don't touch me, bro. This man followed me. Lamin, followed me. This is what happened. So I'm going to step away from Lamin because you can't have a sensible conversation. I want my 500 quid. When you give me 500 quid for the first time, 500 quid for the last time, then I'll debate you again. You owe me 500, Lamin.
I'll give 500. Come here.
Where's my 500? Where is it?
Where's my 500?
No. I'll see you later.
This man is running away. Comes here. This is what they do. They attack Islam.
So this is, they're saying running away.
Bro,
so now
I think the thing is, in terms of the Dawah, there are some people that are here to perform in front of the camera like Lamin.
Yes, he's a Hollywood actor.
There are one-trick ponies like Hashim. Yes. There are gangsters like Shamsi and his thugs. But then there are some serious people who want to have genuine conversation. I'm talking with this bro. Just a minute, please. Yeah. And I think as Christians, what we've got to understand is that for the vast majority of people here, their mind is already made up. They're not going to change. But there are lots of genuine inquirers, people who are watching these videos, these programs, that we have to make a presentation of the faith that is demonstrably true, that demonstrates its good nature, it demonstrates its capacity for good, and to invite them to the love of the Lord.
And this was the upsetting part today, because when we started our presentation towards Soco Films, we were talking about the evangelist mission and the dawah and how we conflict each other in ideologies.
Yeah.
And we went on into the tactics of what, like, as Christians, we're told to preach the gospel of salvation.
Yeah.
Now, in order to preach the gospel of salvation, people will all obviously ask questions. So where do the questions come on? Where do the questions come out that we picked from the Dawah team?
Yeah.
How can Jesus be God? He went to toilet. So we understood that there are 150 questions that come from the Ahmadi that combat, which is online. So we were trying to expose these questions that Christians and evangelists that feel passionate about Christ will come here and think, oh, they're going to tackle the Dawah team and have an intellectual discussion.
Do you think, bro, that people who make silly arguments like that are really interested in engaging with the substance of the theology that lay behind it?
I like that question, because what I would say to you is that we live in a modern world where media is powerful and sound bites make more an impression than the reality. People are not looking at content to understand. They're looking at making an impression. And one of the best ones is Lamin. I love Lamin's performance.
We love Lamin's performance.
Must be in Hollywood.
Somebody should get this guy in Hollywood. At the start of the because at the moment they can't debate. They'll make a see they're going, they make a point, proper debate 3 minutes each. See? That's what they do. Because they know the Bible. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use it against them. They won't step away.
JC, come over here.
You won't debate.
JC.
He runs away. You won't debate.
JC.
I'll pay you. No, I'll pay you.
You pay me my 500.
Hey, come here.
So you want to
come here.
pay my £500. Right.
I want to know what's going on today.
Right.
I want to know what's happening in today's world. All the problems that humanity seems to face, and how that correlates with history. That's all I want here to ask.
Do you want my opinion?
Yes, and I'll have an opinion as well, if that's all right.
Of course it is.
You can
Of
start.
course it is. So let me
Come here, bro.
No,
Please tell it to.
we're not talking to you, Lamin. You haven't paid me the 500 from the first time.
I want to hear your point.
All right. I just want to get paid.
How the past has had a ripple effect on the future. That's it.
So let me address the question. Okay. So the brother has asked a very fair question, and I'm going to give the Christian perspective. As Christians, we believe that human beings have what is called a sinful nature, which means that they are genetically, it's in your blood. You have it when you're a baby, and then you grow into it. You have within you a nature that is inherently selfish and self-interested. And when little children demand to be the centre of our life, we find it cute, it's entertaining, etc., etc., etc. But that same mentality expresses itself in adults in a way that they stab you in the back, they play their music so loud you can't sleep and you're doing night shifts. When you ask them to turn it down, they give you effing and bawling and swearing. They and then communities and groups can also express that as well. And society, particularly Western society.
Not forget about any race or...
No, I'm just explaining.
I'm just talking about what's going on the basis of today. Forget about Western society,
Okay,
Eastern...
that's fine. I'm just giving examples.
Remove religion or race is the easiest way.
I'm just giving an example.
Let's just talk about humanity in general.
Okay, so human beings are inherently selfish, and they express this collectively as well as individually.
Right.
So, for example, America does Iraq, Hamas does Israel, etc., etc., etc. So you've got this sinful nature that is at the root of all the greed, of all the cursing, of all the violence, the pursuit of drugs, the selfish pleasure.
Exactly. All the negative things in humanity are due to sin. Yeah. And humankind has sin in his heart. It's a fault in his heart.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's the Christian perspective.
No, a human being has sin. Every human being has sin. I agree.
Okay.
There's only maybe one human being that I can vouch has never sinned before, and that is the Prophet Mohammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Did Mohammed sin?
no, I want to remove that from all argument, and I want to talk about today because that's all history, right? Let's just forget about
an important statement.
Look, this is my understanding of things. This isn't my. No, I'm not talking about the Bible. I want to know what's going on today with history and how it's represented.
Yeah.
So, in the time of 1 minute, my friend, 1 minute, because I can't get my point.
No, we're listening.
Brother, please. Yes, go ahead.
It's not Islamin that's doing this, not JC.
Anyway, what my point is, I understand that every single person has, sin in their heart, and they've got negative understanding of things at times. And Christians like Muslims sin. White man like black man, like Asian man, like Arab man, like every race on existence sins. They do violence, they do drugs, they do everything. Not one human today is perfect.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Right.
And by me saying that the Prophet Muhammad is perfect, you're thinking, this is an understanding. That's maybe just my opinion. Someone else might not see it the same way.
Yeah.
But how I saw the layout of history and how that prophet is the final prophet, this is what brought me to Islam.
Yeah.
The finishing in all the prophecies, this is what brought me to Islam, because I researched in history about the 3 largest pagan ideologies.
The
ancient Egyptians. I'll let you speak.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've stated something that I absolutely disagree with.
Go ahead.
You've said that Muhammad never sinned. Okay? Yeah. So tell me, in Islam, is a man dressing in a woman's clothes considered a sin?
Hold on a minute.
No, I'm asking him. Hold on. No.
Okay,
I don't want to.
It's a very simple question.
These are sources. They may not be valid in opinion. We're all speaking on opinion basis.
No.
Forget about. I don't even want to speak about the Prophet Muhammad. I just want to speak about what's happened in the past. I don't want to speak about Muhammad or Jesus or anyone. I want to speak about the ideologies that you, a Christian, wouldn't agree with.
Hold on. I would suggest to you that if you read the Quran carefully, it states that Muhammad repented for his sins. I think yes.
He did.
Thank you. So if he repented, if he repented for his sins, then this brother has made a choice to accept Islam on a false premise. Because he's saying,
this is first time speaking.
This is a very known fact that the Prophet.
Did I let you speak? I'm sorry. Did I? Wait. Notice. This is the kind of behaviour that we see again and again at the Speaker's Corner. I am speaking to this brother, and now other people are interjecting, and I'm trying to make a point, and people are interrupting me. And sadly, bro, you have accepted a lie. You have been lied to.
Bob,
you have been lied to.
Whatever you would like.
Mohammed, right. No. I'm going to make my point.
Make your point with me.
I was talking to him. Stop interrupting. I am talking to him. Stop interrupting. You're showing once again, as we see countless times here in the corner, the etiquette of Islam.
You're saying it's totally wrong.
The etiquette of Islam. This is the etiquette of Islam. This is the fruit of their deed. The fruit of their deed. So he said,
as soon as he mentions what he's got to say, you
right, okay, right. So thank you. Okay, you've not obviously been Muslim long enough to let it affect your manners.
Why can't you debate with me?
So now, because you don't pay. So now,
come on,
bro. The fact is, if you read the Quran carefully, it'll take 5 minutes to read this on Google. You will see that Muhammad repents for his sin. So that statement is false, and the people that told it to you lied to you.
How about I believe?
Right, 1 second. I'm also going to give you an example of a sin. Because I know for a fact that cross-dressing in Islam is a sin. A man cannot wear a woman's clothes. That is a sin in Islam. So let's look at this. Let's look at this. This is a hadith. It's from the Mishkat al...
Let him say everything.
Can I finish with that? The deen of your religion needs improvement. And I would encourage you to become a Christian, because as Christians, we are taught to treat other people how we want to be treated. So if you don't want to be interrupted, you don't interrupt. So try to control yourself.
You go back to your point.
So, I'm going to give you a quote, I'm going to give you my sources. I am not making this up. From the Mishkat al-Masibi, Volume 2, Book 26, Fitan, Chapter 38, the fine qualities of the Prophet's wives, and we read, she told the people used to choose Aisha's day to bring their gifts, seeking thereby to please God's messenger. She said that God's messenger's wives were in two parties, one including Aisha, Hafsa, Safiya and Sauda, and the other including Salama and the rest of God's messenger's wives, which is more than four, but that's a by the point. Salama's party spoke to her, telling her to ask God's messenger to say to the people, if anyone wishes to make a present to God's messenger, let him present it to him, wherever he happens to be. She did so, and he replied, do not annoy me regarding Aisha, for inspiration has not come to me when I was in any woman's garments but Aisha's. Now, there's 2 points there.
Allow me to come on
yes,
to
of
that?
course. There's 2 points there. Firstly, this so-called amazing person was getting annoyed at his wives about Aisha. He had favoritism to Aisha, despite the Quranic injunction not to have favorites. And according to these hadiths, he cross-dressed. He wore woman's clothes. In Islam, answer this question and then reply. Is cross-dressing a sin in Islam?
If you would let me speak,
Of course.
for a minute, I'll just.
I will not interrupt you.
It's that hadith. At the end of the day, is it in the Sahih Bukhari? What hadith is it in? And I want to know from what.
After the Prophet.
This is what I want to know, and I want to know was
can
the
answer that now.
narrator a Sahabi, or was he just
Someone
a
that came
normal
after
man
the
that was
Prophet.
after the death of
You
the
probably
Prophet?
answer that now. You want me to answer that now?
I want
Zionists
you can
today.
answer it when you want. I don't mind.
Zionists of the
and
religion
I want
from day
it
one.
to. I want to know if it's from the authentic chain of
Zionists,
hadiths
they try
as
to
well,
cross
and it's
this.
come down to
Yep.
the correct narrators,
Yep.
which are the 10 promised
Yep.
Jannah. They are the top.
Okay.
The 10 promised
That's
Jannah by the
absolutely
Prophet.
Jesus wore robes as well. So
yeah,
if Prophet
I
wear
would
robes,
like to
then
finish.
you're gonna say that.
Yeah, let him
Anyway,
finish.
after this, and anyway, that's just me what I believe
your-
about
Okay,
the
can I-
Prophet
can I
Mohammed
address
and all
that
the
point?
prophets. Can I go back to where I was going about the 3 ideologies?
Well,
Because that's a very
can I-
important
can-
point.
you've asked a
That's
question.
to do with today and the past.
Moses,
Sorry.
Jesus, and
It's a bit of a 2-chain subject.
the
That's why
pagan
I
we
was-
will
ideologies,
develop it,
magician,
right?
medicine.
Hold on.
Please.
The brother asks a very fair question. He says, is it Sahih? Well, this was taken, the English translation with explanatory notes was given by Dr. James Robson in Mohammed Ashraf. It was published by
Wait a minute.
Mohammed Ashraf Publishers, booksellers and exporters, Lahore,
Booksellers
Pakistan.
and
Reprint
Pakistan.
Be silent, please,
1990,
brothers.
page
This is
1361.
irrelevant. We want to go back to my
And
subject.
it is taken from
wanna go back to
Bukhari
Oh, okay.
and Muslim.
Wait, okay,
Now,
okay.
if you know your deen,
Yeah.
which,
Oh, hold on a minute,
if
hold
you
on a
know your
minute,
deen,
hold on a
if you
minute.
know your deen,
wanna
where
go back to my
Muslim
subject.
and Bukhari agree, the matter is settled. It is a
necessarily.
fact.
You know where you read
Right?
from?
It
Not
is
necessarily.
considered Sahih. Bukhari selections are considered.
Can I
Necessarily, you
speak,
follow the
bro?
Prophet.
Bukhari
and
select-
Rashidin, yeah?
Let me speak and you speak
Bukhari's-
after and you speak. One by
Bukhari-
one, we will all say one thing. And then,
Bukhari's
yeah.
selection is considered Sahih by Muslims.
All right,
Yeah.
that's not a problem.
So
to
now
me.
let me
Whatever
ask you
you
this.
believe is that.
I'm going to let you reply,
can-
but I want
yeah.
you to answer me this.
All right.
If when you research into this,
Yeah.
you find that it's from a genuine source, that it's all authentic, that it's the isnad is sound, the matin is sound, are you going to leave Islam because Muhammad sinned? He's a cross-dresser, he wears women's clothes?
I will not leave Islam because that is not from.
That's not even-
in my
it's not-
opinion,
it's
I
not-
will find sources that
You got it
contradict
from a
that.
scholar
But
that we don't even
anyway,
know.
anyway, I want to go back to my. I've got sources that,
Okay,
that say nothing like that.
Okay, we'll
Where I
leave, we'll
read,
leave
I
that
don't
point,
understand
we'll
these
move
things.
on. I think I've
And
proven
I
my
know the
point. Muhammad
narrators
was a
that
sinner.
I know the narrators that I read into, and I know the narrators that I don't.
okay, before you
This
go,
is
I want
the
to-
So
point.
you
'cause I'm
continue, right,
educated.
move on to your, the
I'm
point that
educated
you
in my
wanted to
faith.
make.
This is what I want to go back to, please.
Okay.
I wanted to say one thing. I've come to speak
Yeah.
this corner to get
Yeah,
one
yeah, go on,
understanding,
go on.
and I want to say what I've got to say. I understand where you come. Every human has a sin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I totally believe in what you're saying. I believe in what you're saying.
I
Every
agree.
human has the nature to sin.
I agree.
This is in the Quran. This is in all the books. You know what I mean? But every time a prophet was sent to the human beings, and I'm talking about the New Testament prophets, the ones like Moses and Jesus and Muhammad. There was 3 powerful empires in each of those times, and they ruled the world. And do you agree with me or not? And is it not one powerful empire that rules the world today? This is the question. You know what I mean? It is one powerful empire. The government is of all races. The United Nations. There's blacks, there's Arabs, there's whites. There's poor blacks, there's poor whites, there's poor everything. Everyone's poor, everyone's rich.
Okay, so what point are we making?
My point is, look at the three empires that were ruling the world in those times when each
Which
of the
time,
prophet,
sorry?
in the time of the ancient Egyptians, what
Okay.
prophet was sent.
Yep.
You even believe in this prophet as
You're
you're
talking
an
about
Orthodox
Moses.
Christian. Moses, of course. You
Yeah.
believe in Moses? Of course you believe in Moses and Abraham, and they are
Yeah,
also
yeah.
your prophets just like they're mine.
Carry
Right?
on.
And we're on even platforms now, innit? So at that time, the ancient Egyptians, they were the most powerful, they were the most powerful people on earth. Am I right? They were in Africa, but they were the most powerful people on earth. Am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong?
Can we press on with your
No,
point?
this is where I'm
Press on
coming
with your
to.
point. What point you? Yeah, go on.
Were they? And did they worship idol gods? I want to know if they worshipped idol gods. I want to know if they worshipped other than one God that is the Almighty, which
Yeah.
is what a Christian man sees as God, right? I want to know if they did.
So what's your point?
So what prophet was brought to those people in that time?
What, sorry?
What prophet was
It was
brought to those
Moses,
people and
to the
he said,
Egyptians.
okay, please worship one God,
Yep.
he is the Almighty.
Yep.
The same thing that the Muslims and the Christians and the Jews say, right? Yes. They fell. Did
Go
they
on.
not fall? Did they not fall to what empire? The Romans. Yes, it was the Romans that took over after. Yes or no? This is simple stuff they teach you in primary school, man.
Go on.
The Romans took over, and what prophet was sent to these people? They were the most powerful polytheistic ideology in that time. Yes or no?
Keep going.
Wait, please.
Can you
Yeah.
come to your point? What's
Right,
your point,
were they not the most
No,
powerful?
bro. If you
were
ask-
they not the most
what is
powerful?
your point?
I want to
And get cut to your
shut
point.
me down if I'm talking shit. That's what I want
I'm
to
just
know.
waiting for you to come. I'm trying
They
to be
were the
patient.
most powerful.
What
right?
is the point?
The
that
Roman
you're
Empire.
making?
Were they the most powerful
Brother,
at the time when
I have.
Jesus came?
All right. I have no idea what point the brother is making.
Right, now let me carry on to the third. Let me carry on to the
hurry up,
third.
bro.
Right.
Come on, man.
Let me debunk this guy and destroy him.
Wait. I mean, I'm not wasting time.
You're
So-
wasting.
£500.
Wait,
This
I'm
was
still
attack. Let me
waiting.
destroy him.
The third,
Still waiting.
Let me
for
finish
him
this.
to
You'll be
wait.
running away from
wait
me.
a minute. The third empire.
No one would run away
I'm
from
going to
you.
the third empire. I'm going to the third empire.
What is your
Jesus was
point?
sent to the Romans.
What is your point?
Was he not sent in the time where the Romans were the most powerful empire, and did they believe in
Right,
pagan
go on.
gods?
What's your
Yes, they
point?
did. Okay, now the third empire. At that time of the Prophet Mohammed, what empire was there?
We're still Roman.
Peace be upon him. It wasn't the Romans.
You don't know history. He doesn't know
The
history.
Persian Empire was the most powerful in that time.
Wrong.
The Persian Empire was the most powerful
Oh
in that
dear.
time.
Oh
Yes or
dear.
no?
If
Yes or no?
if this is the reason,
Yes or no?
wrong. I'm not correcting you. You're wrong.
My friend,
the brother,
this is 100%
the brother,
history, my
the
friend.
brother.
The
That
Persians-
unfortunately,
the Persians were ruling the world in that
unfortunately,
time.
right, brother.
They
Let's.
were ruling the world
brother,
in that time.
brother.
They had the power.
Can I reply now?
Over the most.
Can I reply
over
now?
The majority of land
Can I
globally.
reply
The
now?
Persians had.
Can I reply? No, he doesn't want to let me reply. He doesn't want to let me reply.
Go on, reply.
Right. So, if this, I am going to teach you about history, right? Because out of the two of us, I bet I'm the only one with a degree in religion, and a degree in religion means you study the history of those religions.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I am going to correct you, right? And by the way, if this is the foolish logic that led you into Islam, then you need to leave Islam.
This is my understanding
Allow
of
me.
how
Okay,
history
allow me to
unfolds.
correct
That's how I
you.
wanna know.
Allow me to correct you.
I want to know if that's not the truth.
Allow me to correct you.
what proof have
Allow
you got?
me to correct you. Okay, so in the 7th century, when Muhammad came, as we believe as a false prophet, he came, and there were two empires within his immediate region. The Persian Empire and the Roman Empire. Because the Roman Empire still existed. It was one of the most long-standing empires in the history of the world.
I agree, but they were weak.
It was
They
not
were-
weak.
They were weak,
and I will
because of
explain
monotheistic
why.
ideology.
Notice he doesn't want to
They
listen.
believed in one
Notice
God.
he
They
doesn't
were
want to
Christian in
listen.
that time.
Notice
Yes
he
or
doesn't
no?
want to
Were the
listen.
Romans not
He
Christian
doesn't
in
want
that
to
time?
listen. It's true.
They had
He
less
doesn't
power
want to
because
listen.
They were softer to the
Notice
laws of
he
God.
doesn't want to
You
listen.
idiot.
Notice he doesn't want to
You
listen.
idiot. They were monotheistic.
And this is what Islam
people.
does to you.
They believed in one
This
God.
is what Islam
Yes
does
or
to
no?
you.
The Romans.
This
yes.
is what Islam
yes
does to
or
you.
no? Answer that question.
This is what Islam
Go ahead.
does to you.
Go back to your point.
This is
Go
what
back
Islam
to your
does to
point
you.
now.
Because if the brother
Alright.
knew history, he would know that the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire had a war.
Where's your sources? Where's your sources?
I'm going to give them to you.
Ultimately,
Right?
he was in control.
They had a war. And I believe that it was either the Emperor Heraclius or it was the
5 minutes,
Emperor.
be gone.
I can't remember, but a quick Google search is
I
getting
want
pretty
to hear
right.
his sources. It's
The
important.
Christians had a war with the Persian Empire and defeated them. Now, logically,
I
does
agree,
the
the Persian Empire
weaker
fell.
No, answer my question. Can I finish?
The emperor
No, he doesn't want to
Heraclius.
listen again.
There was an emperor called Heraclius.
Does anyone else want to hear my point? Does anybody else want to hear what I have to say? Sadly, once again, because of the conduct
and this has led
of the Muslims, I have to raise my voice to make my point.
I've made my point.
Because Muslims cannot control themselves. Their deen has failed them, and it turns them into ranting, rabid. Anyway, so as I was saying, at the time of Mohammed, the Persian Empire was in a war with the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire defeated the Persian Empire. It is illogical to say that the Persian Empire is stronger than the Roman Empire if the Roman Empire defeats the Persian Empire in a war. Now, let me just come to something. Can I actually finish without you interrupting? So, the brother has made this point about prophets coming to empires that worship false gods. At the time of the Persian-Roman War, the Christian Empire was Roman. The Romans had converted. And they exhausted themselves in a war with one another immediately before Islam erupted out of Saudi Arabia. And Muslims believe that this is somehow some kind of proof, some kind of validation that Islam is true. But if this is their logic, then why did the caliphates of Muhammad fail? There is no caliphate today established by Muhammad. The caliphates were destroyed. They were destroyed by Muslims themselves. Muhammad's caliphate fell because of human. Have you seen 300? The perfect system fell. The Ottoman Empire is gone. It was carved up like a Sunday roast by the European powers. This is their perfect system. This is their perfect system. So the brother made a completely fallacious point. Completely fallacious. Just he calls me a racist. Did he say? Did you hear this? Because I correct his history, I am a racist. This is a snowflake, ladies and gentlemen. This is the typical thin-skinned snowflake mentality. Someone corrects my facts, and therefore I am wrong. I am simply correcting his history. I'm racist! I'm racist! When losing an argument, ladies and gentlemen, remember to play the race card. It helps!